Have you ever played the 1904 board game called The Landlord's Game?
What do games have to do with us leaving?
Everything.
Everybody, welcome back to the channel. It is time to listen to Mom. I have a special guest, Ducky here. Unlucky Ducky. Going to give a quick hello.
Hello, everybody.
I'm excited. We're going to be reviewing Heretic, which I'm going to do a quick synopsis, and then we're going to jump right in. And I promise you we'll do spoilers at the end. So let's talk about what Heretic is. It is a 2024 horror film directed by Scott Beck and Brian Woods. The story follows two young Mormon missionaries, Sister Barnes and Sister Paxton. I think the big highlight of the film is with Hugh Grant as Mr. Reed, a recluse man with a sinister agenda. Essentially, it's a psychological, physical ordeal of entrapment. That's literally pretty much it. It goes into challenging beliefs and subjecting them to terrifying trials. So interesting. So I'm going to ask you right off the rip, Ducky. Would you recommend this film to anyone?
Not necessarily to everyone. It's a film that can greatly offend some people, but even if you are greatly religious, but are willing to think and go through the emotions that come along with this movie, I would love to have other people talk about this movie as well, because I don't see it getting enough love for how good I thought it was.
Yeah, I was really surprised by it too. The only reason I saw it was I saw the reviews from somebody else talk about how good it was, and I didn't even know this came out, to be honest. And I honestly am in the same boat. I would want to recommend it to more people, but yes, I think that the biggest issue is because it touches so much on religion that it is very it's very touchy, and it's almost very offensive, and it's there to challenge you and ask some very deep-rooted questions. I guess we kind of already answered the next question, but because we both think it's good, right?
100%. I mean, I would put it up there in the movies that I would go back and watch again.
What makes it good for you? What makes it good?
I think just the thought process through the whole thing, because the demeanor of every single character, I was truly entrapped in how their character was played, in terms of the main antagonist and his thought process and how his brain was working through the entire movie, and the two main girls in the movie, and just kind of how their different personalities played into the overall plot of the movie. I thought just made it overall just really, it just circled around really well for every single thought process you could come across.
Yeah, you know what hit me more was the acting. I thought the acting, I guess maybe the same thing with the characters, what you're saying. I thought that Hugh Grant, him in a sinister role like this, was really captivating. He was so likable, and yet you also hated him at the same time. He did so good with it. And also the characters, normally, I'll be honest, like Mormons, I mean, just nobody has a really positive reaction to somebody coming to your door pushing religion on most anybody, which is why this is going to be a tough video to kind of do. Because, you know, they released some movie Book of Mormon. They even made a joke about it in the film. Like, this film is very, very self-aware, and it's so well acted, and every character is likable despite it being such a heavy topic. So it leads us to the next question. What makes it, like, if somebody were talking about this film, what makes it bad? Why is this not a good movie?
I think it kind of comes down to think about the last movie that you reviewed. What was the name of that again?
I think it was a Christmas movie, the red one, or the one with Jack Black. No,
the airport one.
Oh yeah, that one. Gosh, I'm blanking on the name. I know what you're talking about. The one with wow, I just got it stuck in the Netflix movie. We'll just call it that. Yes.
We'll show it on the screen.
Yeah.
I think a lot of movies technically suffer from this. They have a really good idea of what they want the beginning of the movie to be like. But then kind of as the main character, as his plan starts to crumble, I do feel like some of the plot starts to go with it. It just kind of seems like the main character seemed kind of hectic, and the end of the movie seemed kind of hectic. They had this really good idea of how they wanted to end it, but they didn't necessarily execute it 100% perfectly. We didn't get answers on if is it okay if I do some spoilers right now?
Let's get to spoilers in just a second, because we're about to segue to that actually.
Okay, perfect. I didn't think it was wrapped up perfectly. It left a lot open to questions. There was a lot to the movie that they had directed towards. Like, they had really good storylines and then only finished 2 of them.
Yeah, I would say it needed like another 5 to 10 minutes tops.
I would agree with that.
Like just to really just let it breathe. And it's like they were, at least, I think you're right. They were trying to rush the ending because I think the setup was great. I think the middle section was fantastic, but then towards the end, it's just that, guys, we need to be fast. And yeah, just like the airport movie, it's horrible. I can't think of the name, which is not good in terms of reviewing. Like, how does the name not sit there? Gosh, we're gonna show it on screen, but that's interesting. But okay, but let's go into spoilers because now we're kind of ready for spoiler talk. Again, it does such a great job, and I would actually rewatch this movie. I would recommend it. I would have no hesitation in terms of recommending this movie. So warning, spoilers section, spoilers. So as we get into spoilers now, I would say going from the beginning of the movie to the middle section, I think the most powerful part was when he was talking about Monopoly and comparing it to religion. And he was really dissecting it with the doors was the most powerful, like after the setup and like the reveal that he was slowly actually a very sinister person. And the reveal was just like, wow, this is, you knew it was coming, but it was fantastic. I don't know. What are your thoughts? I want to give you the floor, please.
Yeah, you knew kind of the idea of what was going to happen, especially if you watched the trailer of the movie. But it was set up very well because early in the movie, I found myself kind of rooting for Hugh Grant just because he did such a great job in the role. He portrayed himself as an upstanding citizen. He seemed like he understood and had studied religion and was genuinely interested in talking to these 2 girls about it. But in the back of his mind, he kind of had this other idea of where he was leading them. But through the entire process, from the front doorstep to the living room to the library to the doors, you never necessarily knew if he was actually a bad guy or if he was just testing their faith. And I think they did a really good job on that.
Yeah, I honestly kind of worried at the end where they started poking holes at his theories, where he started falling apart too. And maybe it was like almost a moment where the film was falling apart, where he was falling apart as well. Maybe that's what they're trying to get at. And not to defend the fact that the ending wasn't as tight or clean at the end. It just needed I wanted to see more of Mr. Reed unravel and fail a little bit at the end, to be honest. Not necessarily just because I was rooting for religion or not religion. I just wanted to see his unraveling a bit more. I don't know. What do you think?
I think if they would have gone with the direction of him a little bit more Saw-like in terms of the antagonist that they had in Saw, where it wasn't necessarily they were going to die no matter what, because that kind of seemed like it was a thing that was going to happen. They were either going to be imprisoned or they were going to die. But I thought it'd be a really good path and maybe a really good idea to have it to where they could escape if they were to make the right choices going forward.
That would be cool.
But it seemed it kind of seemed like a dead end no matter what. And it didn't necessarily lead him to a good way to experiment on his theory, because no matter what, these 2 people are going to fight back for their lives, knowing that no matter what, they're going to be prisoners or they're going to die. And they don't want to do either one of those. So they're going to fight like their lives depend on it. So I felt like they could have gone just a slightly different direction with that, especially once they got down in the basement. But they didn't. And that bothered me a little bit.
So we have about 45 seconds. And because you're the guest here, I want to give you even more room on the floor to talk. 45 seconds. Give me your last bits and thoughts.
I wish they would have kind of shown more on the women that they had in the cages in the basement. And I wish they would have elaborated a little bit more on the research that he had done to make him go this route. And especially, I never really quite understood why he purposefully killed one of these other people and then brought in a clone, I guess you could say, a lookalike, to take her place. Because if he was truly testing an idea, I feel like they would have kept that out and instead just had this woman die completely and go from there. But instead, it just kind of seemed like someone that wanted to convince someone to kill themselves instead of actually testing a theory of religion.
Yeah. Ducky, thank you so much for hopping in today and chatting about this movie. I was really captivated by it as well. If you enjoyed, let us know how you feel about it. I'm probably going to go for a second watch through and really just dissect it as well. It was a whole lot of fun. Again, comment down below if you want Ducky back. I want him back. I had a great time doing this review with him. Don't forget to leave a like, comment, and subscribe, and we'll see you guys all in the next one.
Bye.